I like particles, but I like people better. And you began in particle physics before moving into business and higher education. Many students worry a career change means wasted time. How do you see it as progress instead of failure? And what first steps help in times of uncertainty?
That's an excellent question. So, if you think about life, life, both career and personally, is not linear. And the skill sets you acquire in any area are never wasted. So, if you think about particle physics, it really helped me understand math and logic. And I was very easily able to apply those into business and then later into marketing. So I always look at risk taking as an inherent part of living and life. And it's really important for us to remember that when we take the risk, it's a calculated risk, that you have some things in place, some cushions in place. I was very fortunate that I was able to do that relatively seamlessly. And I wouldn't say that it was always, the easiest thing, but life is not meant to be too easy. So that was what I would say. One, if you take a risk, think about risk in a calculated way, assess your options, and ultimately say, what is it that's driving you towards a new career, towards a new idea? And do enough research. I'm a big data driven, data informed person, and I would encourage you to do that even if you want to change careers or complete paths towards your career.
And then making a change is one thing, but having the confidence to take that step is another. And your father taught you never to depend on anyone for your emotional, mental, or financial well being. What habits can students build now to develop that independence and confidence before they feel ready?
Both my father and my mother were great supporters of what I did. I was fortunate to live in a family that really highly valued education. One of the things I would tell people is have a group of people that trust in you, that give you not always advice that you're doing great, but that they push you. My dad pushed me. I mean, if I got a 91 in math, there was always, hey, what happened to the 9 points? So, who are truly your supporters? And I started my life having great mentors, great supporters, people who believed in me, but also who pushed me. And when I was not making the right decision or when I was asking questions, they would always push back and say, well, have you thought about this? So the step that I took was because I had a group of people that helped me take that step and said, this is not a failure. And in fact, it wasn't because I was just moving from one discipline to the other. It was really important for me to have a confidence in myself, but also people believing in me. So I hope you have a good group of friends who believe in you, but also who push you.
How can students find that group of people that they can put their trust into that will push them in college?
I am a big believer that relationships are the most important things. Your skills will only take you so far, but it is the relationship that you build. And the best thing to do for every student is to start building these relationships early. I am not a transactional person. I have friends that I have known for 30, 40 years now. That tells you my age. But I believe that we become too transactional. How can somebody benefit me? If you have the ability to network appropriately with a great group of people. So, networking not just in your discipline, but networking outside the discipline. So, if you are studying the science, or if you're studying finance, or if you're studying accounting, get to know somebody who's in the arts, who's in music, who's in the opera, who's a doctor, who's an engineer. And these are people, you should have a network of people that truly are people that you can communicate with, consult with, and really also share your skills with them and start early. I always tell people the first thing you should do is start in your very first year. You should not be wasting time once you come to college.
And then once students start to build that network and their confidence starts to grow, the next challenge is knowing if an opportunity is the right one. And you chose Millsaps College over bigger name schools because they made you feel genuinely wanted. How can students spot the signs that a school, internship, or job will truly invest in them?
Ask the question. I believe it's very easy to spot a good organization. If they invest in you, look at what their professional development opportunities are. Ask them, where can I see myself 3 years from now? If I wanted to take career paths within the company, what is my path to progress? And what do I have to do to get there? So, in fact, I have often counseled my students from previous life when I was a faculty member, to look at a company that invests in your professional development, even though the starting salaries might be a little lower. And those kinds of signs are very clear. If people are happy in an organization, you know that the organization is doing something really well. You can tell. I often give the example of Costco, right? A company that we know. When you go, there's those people. Why? Because they have good benefits. They are well trained people, but the company genuinely cares about its employee no matter what their level.
And then finding that right fit is only the start, but earning trust once you're in that role is another challenge. And you've said that caring has to be more than words, it has to be actions. In your first months at UIndy, what actions built the most trust, and how can students apply that without a leadership title?
That's an excellent question. So if you think about, trust is really a function of say what you do, what you're going to do, and then do what you said you will do. Also, be very willing to accept your mistakes. I'm the first person to say I'm not always the most knowledgeable person in the room. I'm very transparent about what I know, but I'm also very transparent about what I might not know. And if you start with that fundamental foundation that people my default option is trust people. And I believe if you trust people, people will trust you. One of the first things we did with our faculty and staff, we said, look, we will generally try to share good news with you, but there'll be times we'll not share good news. And to the extent that people trust in your ability to do the right thing by them, even bad news, in fact, can be seen as a very transparent approach to truly building an organization.
And then trust often lays the foundation for leadership. And through programs like the Women's Executive Leadership Institute, you've worked on building the next generation of leaders. What's one mindset shift students, and especially women, should make now to prepare for leadership roles later?
I'm a big believer that women should be at every table where decisions are being made. And this program helps women develop that confidence to be able to say, this is my seat at the table. And a big difference we have already seen in the participants is they have been able to go to their leaders and say, I want that next promotion, or what can I do to get the next promotion, the next raise, or the next leadership opportunities. So I'm a big believer that programs like this help discover skills that you already have or strengthen the skills that you perhaps need to build on.
For students who may not be in Indiana or who may not be able to join the Women's Executive Leadership Institute, what is a mindset change that they should make from high school going into college to prepare them for success?
The first thing you have to do is you have to believe in yourself. And that sounds like a cliche. A lot of people say, well, believe in yourself is a cliche. But truly look at what your skills are. I'm a big believer in assessing yourself honestly and saying, what is it that I do well? If you are very good in public speaking or not good in public speaking, if you are very good in math or not good in math, ask yourself, what are the 5 things you could say about you honestly that you're good at? And what are the 5 things that you could say about you that you need to build upon? But make that a commitment to develop those skills. It's not enough to know what you're good at, and it's not enough to know what you're not so good at, but a commitment, and there's a strategy to it. So when I look at my calendar reflects the strategy of the institution. Where am I spending time? What are the things I'm spending time on? So if you say, I need to build leadership skills and networking skills, but you never go to an event that allows you to network, then it's not really a good investment of your time. So I'm a big believer that people should start believing in themselves, but also being very candid about what do they need to build and what are some of the skill sets that they already have.
And then leadership is important, but so is avoiding the trap of operating on autopilot. And you've said that curiosity is essential to being a full human being. Why should students project their curiosity and not just focus on technical skills? And how can they keep it alive while still progressing in their careers?
So let me ask you this question. When you walk into a party, you don't start talking accounting, do you? You don't start talking finance. People are interested in you because you have other interests. You can talk about films or music or hiking or traveling. And curiosity is that quality that enables you to read different things, to learn about different things, to be interested in stuff that doesn't seem standard or it's not really a part of your job. So I think I've told this to many people, I love travel. I love reading. I'm learning a new language. I may be terrible at it, but I believe that part about curiosity kind of helps you remain excited about life and people. And curiosity about people is also a very good thing. So if you think about it, people love talking about themselves. And one of the really good things to start as a networking question in any event is, I really want to learn more about you or your company. And what is it that you do apart from your work that gives you joy? How did you arrive here? And then really listen. Because I believe that's another quality that all of us need to do a little better in listening empathetically and really listening.
And then that curiosity often connects to purpose. But in your last podcast, you said that you've noticed students today are more anxious than ever. What's one practical step a student can take this week to turn anxiety into a forward movement?
Again, what I said, be curious about something. Do something that gives you joy. It may not necessarily be, that one class or whatever gives you joy. Do something that you're passionate about, care about it enough, and then try and forget about all the other things that are weighing on your mind. Go out in nature. That to me is the best thing to do to get away from from the constant pressure of being anxious.
Sometimes the biggest shifts come from leaving your environment. And you said you've loved to travel, and you've traveled to more than 40 countries and linked leadership to lessons learned abroad. What's one cultural or leadership insight you wish every student could experience before graduating?
Humans around the world are more similar than you think. I just came back from a trip to Botswana and South Africa, and it was absolutely fantastic. The stuff we talked about is the stuff I talk with my friends here. They talked about family, they talked about love, they talked about nature, they talked about what gives you joy. So if we can get away from this mindset that somehow we are too different from people and somehow there is a competition for resources everywhere and really understand humans as human beings, I believe that that's probably the best leadership lesson I can give people.
And then let's say I'm an incoming freshman. What's your advice for getting the most out of college, both inside and outside the classroom?
I would encourage people to get involved. There is so much opportunity in Indiana, but also within the University of Indianapolis. You have clubs you can belong to. There are service projects you can do. There are opportunities to get certified and credentialed in areas that you may have an interest in. I would say getting involved, getting to know somebody who's different than you, speaks a different language. We have students from more than 60, 70 countries on campus. Get to know someone who speaks a different language. I would say that will give you more by way of a life lesson and a life skill than anything else. And then, get to know your professors. They are absolutely fantastic at UIndy. Go talk to them. They are there to help you. Ask them about the questions that I just shared. I'm anxious about these things. Get to know the people, get to know the community, and definitely volunteer and serve to the extent your time allows.
And then to finish up, these are a couple rapid fire questions, just three of them. What is one belief about leadership that took you too long to unlearn?
That leadership is about titles.
And then what is one book every student should read before graduating?
Dare to Lead by Brene Brown.
And then one skill college students aren't learning in class that they need.
The ability to communicate, the ability to make eye contact, and the ability to actually go out and have a conversation that's other than your skill, that your discipline.
Thank you for your time.